What's going on, guys, and welcome back to episode 15 of Botting to Max with AHK. I know it's been a little over 2 weeks. Unfortunately, because of this whole coronavirus thing going around, my businesses have taken a massive hit, and I have been busy kind of dealing with that lately, so haven't had a lot of time to even be in the Discord, let alone play and get these things recorded. But now everything's kind of sorted out. I lost a ton of business, like I said, so I don't have much going on for the next at least couple weeks. So I'll have a lot more time to be working on this account and these videos and hopefully getting out a greater volume of videos at a much higher frequency. As always, I can't guarantee that, but I'm going to really try. I'm going to be home a lot, so we'll see what we can get done. But onto the account. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of quests. That's just what I do when I have free time and can actually play. Like I said in the last few videos, I'm trying to get to the point where I can run my Sears agility script. I'm really close. At this point, all I need to do is some barbarian assault, and I should be pretty much good to go. But kind of a big reason I was more or less dragging my feet with some of these quests is that I really don't like quests, but I really hate some of the quests that are required, which are like one small favor. Well, really it's just one small favor. I don't mind King's Ransom and the other ones. But one small favor sucks, and I'll admit it's not as bad as it used to be back in the day before I had, the wiki quick guide for all the quests, as well as all these different teleports that we have just all over the game, making all the quests and stuff just so much quicker. I remember the first time I did one small favor, it took in the neighborhood of like 2.5 hours, because all I had was like a shitty Rune HQ guide, and that was it, and minimal to no teleports. So now with all the teleports in this quick guide, I think it took me like 45 minutes or something, so it's not too bad. Still sucks though, and I really hate that quest. Not to mention that I've probably done that quest in the neighborhood of like 8 or 10 times in the past couple of years, especially because of like Dead Man and things like that. So I despise it, but it's done on this account. I'm hopefully never doing that quest again, and I can move on to the other shitty quests that I have to get done to really complete this account. In addition to one small favor being a requirement for King's Ransom, and therefore a requirement for the Kandarin hard diaries, it also unlocks a Jagex, which is pretty decent money. It's not the best. It's about 400 to 500k an hour, with also being around 30 to 35k Herblore XP an hour. Now, of course, neither the money or the XP per hour is necessarily great, but it's still another moneymaker that I have tucked in my pocket for when I want to do it. 400k an hour is still not too bad, especially with the skills that this account currently sits at. And really the Herblore XP is just kind of a bonus on top of the money. So I'll probably include making Jagex as one of the money makers that I do on a frequent basis. It's actually going to be replacing one that I was doing not too long ago, which is making hot water. Well, more specifically, it's making bowls of hot water. It's really simple. You just take a bowl of water, use it on a fire or range or something of that sort, and becomes a bowl of hot water. These are required to make Jagex, essentially, because you need to have a cup of hot water, which pretty much nobody sells. And this was around 250 to 300k an hour, just depending on what the price is. The problem with this was they didn't sell super frequently. There's not a lot of people that make Jagex because there's just not a lot of demand for them, which is also a problem when actually making the rest themselves. If nobody's buying them, you're obviously not going to sell them and you're not making any money. So it's not something I could do for 8 hours straight every single day and keep making good money. I have to kind of do it maybe 2-3 times a week in addition to my other money makers. In the last video, I said I wasn't going to release what my money makers were, which is still kind of true. I want to keep a couple of them to myself because it's like the hot water thing. There's just not a lot of people buying and selling. So if I were to leak them out to anybody for any reason, I risk hurting myself and ruining my moneymaker. But right now I'm doing the Jagex, the tanning dehides, which I can do pretty frequently. I just don't too often because, like I said before, the ban rate's really high on it. And of course, all this money was being made for construction and building out my house to get the Gilded altar and a few other things. But mainly the Gilded altar so I could get 70 prayer. Obviously, this is all pretty expensive, so the money's pretty necessary. Now, the money's also necessary for prayer. And as you know, in order to use Piety, you need 70 prayer, which, using Dragon Bones on a Gilded altar, cost me about 7 mil, which really sucks. That was a huge chunk of my bank. However, despite being super busy, before I'd go to work, I would go and set one of my scripts up for money making specifically for, say, like an hour and a half. Nothing too crazy because it is money making. And I would just go to work. And when I get back, I would have ran for an hour or an hour and a half, whatever I set it to. And I'd usually do this twice a day, once before I went to work and once before I went to bed. So I'd get, 500-600k a day, and eventually I just paid off all the bones. And you might be thinking, well, you could have went to the Wilderness Altar and spent 3.5 or 4 mil. True, except I tried that and went for like half an hour and died, 3 or 4 times. Lost a whole bunch of bones, didn't get that much XP, the XP per hour sucked. I was like, you know what, screw this, just spend the extra money, I'll spend some time getting money again. I'm running AHK scripts, why do I care how long it takes me to get money? Now with that said, I have a script that I've had for a long time for using a Gilded altar, and it works really well and really fast. The only problem is, it's not very randomized. But at the same time, I really didn't want to rewrite that script because it's tedious to go from spot to spot to spot, so I decided just to use it. It only had to go for like an hour to do all the bones anyways, so I wasn't too worried about it. Now when it comes time to get the prayer higher, especially going for 99, I will be rewriting the script and I will be pulling out all the stops to make sure that it's perfectly randomized and as much anti-ban as I can possibly fit into it. Especially because by the time I get to that point, this account will have progressed to a high total level with a lot of bank value and a ton of time put into it, and I would hate to lose it at that point. In the past, I've talked a little bit about doing combat on the account and wanting to push towards at least base 70s, but obviously going for higher than that. But I've kind of postponed working on the melee stats because I don't have Barrow's Gloves or a Fire Cape or any of that stuff yet, so I was kind of waiting to get a few things done first. However, I need 70 defense for Piety in order to finish out the Kandarin Hards, and the quests, which I thought were going to get me a little closer, only got me about halfway to 69 defense. So I did have to go and actually train it a little bit, which means I got to bring out my awesome Nightmare Zone script, which I actually think is one of the least bannable scripts that I have, simply because there's not that much going on at Nightmare Zone. And since my preferred method at Nightmare Zone is the absorption pots, where you get your health as low as possible, down to 1 HP, and then maintain that 1 HP. Normally, you would do that by clicking Rapid Heal, I believe it was, but I've never been a fan of that. There's a lot of clicks involved in that, and really the more clicks that you have, the more bot-like it's going to seem over a longer period of time. So I'm a fan of using the rock cake or a strange device to keep your health down at 1. So what this script does is every 30 to 60 seconds, really random, huge variability there, it'll move the mouse over, right click on the rock cake and click guzzle, and if the health is above 1, it'll bring it back down to 1. And I kind of one-up this by making the mouse move off the screen in kind of a semi-random direction, so as to simulate maybe playing another account or doing something else on your computer, which is super common in Nightmare Zone, and I personally do it all the time. I figured that was the most lifelike, human-like way I could do this. Given that there's not a lot of interaction with Nightmare Zone in the first place, I had to do the best that I could with it. And personally, I think this is probably the best way to go about this if you're going to use AHK, rather than, making one-tick flicking scripts or flicking Rapid Heal on or off or any of that stuff. I think this is definitely the way to go. And just one more note about the script, it doesn't actually use the absorption pots or overloads or super combats or any of that, it just maintains that clicking rate. In the future, I plan to incorporate the use of absorptions and all that stuff autonomously, but for now it'll just run until it determines that it's not within that zone anymore, and it'll just log out. So it'll only run for like 45 minutes to an hour, just depends on the defense level and how tanky the account is and everything. So at this point, the only thing that's left for the Kandarin Hard Diaries for the most part is just the Barbarian Assault section. And I have to say, I'm really not looking forward to that either, because Barbarian Assault has just gone to shit over the past couple years. There's hardly anybody that does it, and it seems that you have to be there at like peak time to get a team of any kind. And since this account's pretty low combat, I doubt I'm going to have a great team if I can even find one. I mean, I just have to make it through 1 queen kill, so I'm sure I'll figure something out. Either way, it's kind of annoying. Probably my least favorite part of this whole thing. I might even dislike doing this more than One Small Favor or any of the other quests, which is saying a lot for me, trust me. But by the next video, this account will have the Kandarin Hard Diaries done, and it'll be running the Seer's course as frequently as I feel comfortable doing so, and I'll be well on my way to 99 agility. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and again, apologies for the huge delay. I know I say that a lot, but with business being really slow due to the virus, I should have a lot more time on my hands to work on this account and work on more videos. And I'm kind of thinking about releasing a few different types of videos related to AHK, something outside of this and the tutorial series, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to join the Discord, the link is down in the description. We have almost 1,000 people, which is crazy. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys in the next video.